The epistemic apprenticeship is a phrase that we've taken from Guy Claxton, who's a professor of education in the UK. And I first came across his work probably around 15 years ago when he was involved with a project called Building Learning Power. And his ideas have always really impressed me. What he suggests with the epistemic apprenticeship is that actually all school is part of the learning programme. It's not just the curriculum that you're offering, not just the content of the lessons, it's the entire school experience. And when you think about that, it makes total sense. When I trained to teach, which is many years ago, we used to talk about the hidden curriculum, those aspects of school that were not apparent in terms of a school's prospectus, but which nonetheless had a real effect on the way in which young people learn. And so that's why we've adopted this notion of an epistemic apprenticeship. An apprenticeship really in ways of knowing, being, understanding, relating to other people. All these things we believe are given a real shaping during the school experience, and we want that shape to be as helpful and as productive as possible for young people. We're following this approach because we think it's urgent that young people are being prepared for a world which is changing very rapidly. I mean, this has been the case for the last 20 or 30 years, but the rate of acceleration is really something quite extraordinary at the moment. And it's been generally accepted, not just by people in schools, but more widely, that we have very little idea of the kind of world that awaits young people. So what they need is not a set of already established skills that have been tried and tested over the last 2 or 3 decades. What they need are the kind of versatilities and flexibilities that come with understanding themselves as learners. And the only way you can do that, I think, is to apprentice them in the business of learning. So to make them really hyper-vigilant about the ways in which they approach tasks, sustain tasks, how they work with others, and how they're able to order themselves as people who want to get things done. We create the environment for the epistemic apprenticeship through a series of different methodologies in the school. So there's a curriculum element, where we've introduced many different programs in addition to what might be thought of as regular conventional classroom teaching, so that we have, for example, deep learning when we collapse the timetable for 4 days to allow students to do a really deep dive into an area of passion. We have something called free learning, which is a way in which students are able to self-direct and self-pace their way through a track of different modules and different experiences. And then there's a pastoral element as well, which we call the 5+1 model. I can't really do that justice right now. I think the best thing to do is probably to visit our website and take a look at that. But in sum, the 5+1 model takes advantage of the thinking of 5 people who have had something to say about education and human development more widely, and uses this to create an environment in which young people at this particular stage in their learning feel as well supported as possible. Not just in terms of the academic work that they produce, but more generally in terms of who they are and who they would like to be. There is definitely a tension in schools between, on the one hand, the desire to help support students in maximising their academic achievement, and on the other hand, trying to support them to develop in a holistic fashion as a young person. And the way in which we like to think about this is the difference between maximisation and optimisation. Many people will use these two words interchangeably, but they do mean slightly different things. And the issue in school, I think, is that sometimes you can only maximise a child's achievement at the cost of other aspects of their mental health, their physical health. And we don't see that as a sustainable or desirable end. So what we want to do is to create an environment in which, by virtue of the apprenticeship that we're offering, really the optimal development takes place. The child definitely progresses and grows and strengthens as an academic learner, but that happens within a general experience of being comfortable with her or himself, making really positive relationships, generally feeling that they are well equipped to meet all the other challenges that will come after school has been left behind. The way we structure the apprenticeship at ICHK is very much in line with the historical model of apprenticeship. What that conceives of is people who begin an industry or a trade and who then gradually develop through what used to be called journeymanship, which meant that you were someone who was thereby trusted to begin to take on more sophisticated and more self-directed elements of whatever it was that you were learning, but you weren't yet fully autonomous, you weren't yet a master, and then you would gradually develop into becoming a master with a certain amount of additional experience. And I think that's a really useful metaphor for school learning as well. We perceive our youngest students as apprentices, people who are coming to terms with some of the ways in which school students must orientate and organise themselves in a secondary environment. And then by the middle years, we feel that they're journeymen. They've already picked up a tremendous amount of skill and know-how. And then in year 12 and 13, we're now able to offer them the Mastery Transcript as an adjunct or a supplement to the IB diploma. And what we like about the Mastery Transcript is that really it provides the opportunity for students to capture so much more about who they are, what they believe in, what ambitions they have, where it is they want to allocate their energies and their interests. And whereas academics tend to give you quite a narrow picture of the candidate, I think that the Mastery Transcript really opens that out and provides for a truly holistic sense of who it is that's making the application for a university or a place of work. We would like all students to leave ICHK feeling genuinely equipped for the next step that awaits them after they leave the school system. So whether that be university or going into the world of work, we want them to know that the school experience that they've enjoyed has really set them up to take the next step with confidence, to know that they are resilient, that they're resourceful, that they're flexible, that they're capable of working under their own self-direction, but equally that they're able to work both as leaders and followers in teams, that they have a sense of humour, that they have a general all-round understanding of what makes them tick and what it is that allows them to be as successful and as productive as possible in the world that awaits them.